Hello again, fellow BeachBum traders. Thank you for joining us for part 2 of our weekly trading game plan for the trading week of January 9th through January 13th. And in part 2, we'll select our individual stocks, ETFs, etc., to put on our top swing trading stocks to watch, our various watch lists, our bullpen, our shopping list. We'll also talk about additional trade ideas, trading strategies, how to make money in this current market environment. Welcome, David Spielvogel, Walter Lyons. Thank you for joining us in the live chat for today's weekly trading game plan. Hope you all are doing well. Hope the 2023 trading year is starting off well for you. So here's our notes for part 2 of our weekly trading game plan for this week, January 9th through January 13th. This Google document is publicly accessible. You should be able to find a link to this Google document in the description box below. We store our notes for our weekly trading game plans in a public Google Drive folder. And again, you should be able to find the link to this Google Drive folder in the description box below so you can access previous notes, Google Documents notes from our weekly trading game plans. Our notes include links to bonus videos, the tools, etc. that we use in our weekly trading game plans. Glad to see you, Spacula, the Ricky Khan, Ali in the Bay. Thank you all for joining us in the live chat. I hope you all are doing well, and again, hope the new year is treating you well. If you have not already seen part 1 of our weekly trading game plan for this week, titled The Year Without a Santa Claus Rally, we would highly recommend that you also view that part 1, as that contains our market analysis, some of our strategies, etc. For this week. Thank you very much, Spacula, for that super chat. We greatly appreciate it. Spacula has been a very long-time supporter of the BeachBum trading community, so please all join us in thanking Spacula for all his help and support of the BeachBum trading community over the years. So again, we'd highly recommend that you view part 1, as that provides all the input data that we're using to select our stocks to put on our top swing trading stocks to watch for this week. I'll start off and we'll just quickly review a couple of the trades that we did this past week. Firstly, we finally went long OPP, which is this fixed income fund. It's a bond fund, fixed income fund. This is one we've been watching for quite some time. It pays, as you can see, a very nice monthly dividend, over 20%. There's a link in here to when their ex-dividend dates are. The ex-dividend date was coming up, and so we've been wanting to get a chunk of that OPP for a while. And again, we'll talk about this part of this strategy with dividend stocks towards the end of the video, as well as how that's part of our overall strategy with how to trade this kind of choppy, sideways market, is a way to beat inflation and make money while we're waiting for the market to pick a direction, is with dividend stocks. And again, we'll talk about that in more detail at the end of the video when we talk about strategies and more trade ideas. So again, we've been watching OPP for a while. I'll show you in Webull in a minute. We went long at 880, a little bit higher than I would have liked, but I saw there were buyers sitting down there, and it looked like they were going to push the price up. The sellers was pretty thin, and I wanted to again get in there before the ex-dividend date. And again, you can use this link to see the various ex-dividend dates for OPP. And again, towards the end of the video, we'll talk about other ways to know when the ex-dividend date of a dividend stock is coming up. The other trade we're watching a lot this week was on yen. Yen is the long on China. China's been trending up. Yen's been trending up from some period of time. As you'll see, we took profit on part of that, and I'll show you where it looked like yen was going to roll over on the, let's see, what day was that? On the 6th. And so we took profit at 58.02 on about 45%, a little less than half of our position. The remainder of this position is currently covering a covered call that we sold a while back. We'll try to buy that back cheaper if yen does decline, but you see there's a very long dated covered call at the 60 strike price. And even though yen had gone above 60, at some points, the buyer of that covered call didn't exercise it, and so we're still holding that covered call with the other about half of our position. So again, towards the end of the video, we're going to talk more about our option strategies and how we're rethinking some of the ways that we're doing option strategies. Just a quick reminder, if you'd like to get real-time trade alerts of the trades that we make, whether we're entering a position, exiting a position, etc., you can join our Patreon. We try to post email notifications to our Patreons as soon as possible when we make a trade. And then that also gets posted in an alerts channel in our Discord. So again, as soon as we make a trade, in our Discord, our Patreon members have access to these alerts channels, and there's two of them. There's a Thinkorswim based alerts channel, so we also have price alerts set up in Thinkorswim. When those get triggered, then they get automatically posted to this Thinkorswim alerts channel, and then if we follow that up with an actual trade, then I'll update that in the Thinkorswim alerts channel. If it's not based on a Thinkorswim alert, as you can see with the OPP trade, then I will post that in the trade alerts channel. And again, our Patreon members have access to those alerts channels in the Discord, as well as receiving email notifications. Again, we never recommend that anyone blindly follow us or anyone else into a trade, but if you would find it helpful to see what trades we're making, where we're placing our stops, where we're getting stopped out of, or taking profit, etc. in a trade, you could join our Patreon and get that information in as real time as we're possible able to post it. So let's jump over to Webull. We'll just quickly review those trades. Again, you can see on the 6th, I think, let's see, when did I get into the OPP? On the 5th at 880. So if we zoom in a bit to the 5th, so you can see when it bounced off that support level, broke VWAP, there's my price target line. So now we're long OPP. You can see it's kind of trending up. Looked like it kind of had bottomed and was swinging back up. Hopefully that's the case. So we're now long OPP. Again, we plan to hold this, longer term, collect a nice 20% dividend, and hopefully some price appreciation until it kind of tops out, swings back down. But again, this would be a long-term swing, a long-term investment. Again, we've talked about this for a while, but one of the things I've been hearing is more money flowing into fixed income funds. And so again, you see this kind of bottomed and looks like it's turning back up. So that's also part of our thesis on OPP. Here's this trade on yen, which again is the long on China. You see it had gapped up, ran up. We've held this for quite a while. It's been underwater for quite a while. It finally became profitable, ran up, and then you'll see on Friday it gapped down pre-market. I saw that big gap down at 4 a.m. I was concerned at that time that it was going to break back down and become unprofitable. So again, I put a stop in and actually took profit on that when it broke down early pre-market. Well, it wasn't quite pre-market. When the market opened pretty quickly, it spiked down and triggered that stop. Again, it was still a profitable trade. So we made, let's see, about 1%, 1.4%. 5.5% was the ROI, so monthly ROI of about 1%. So, again, small profit, and we still have over half of that position, so with the covered call underneath it. So I'll talk more about lessons learned when we get to strategies. Let's look at our real-time watch list updates. So making, quite a few changes. The markets again been choppy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take forward off of our watch list. You'll see it already ran up. Again, I'll talk about our strategy. We might look at selling cash secured puts against forward. We'll see. Welcome, Flip of the Shippa. Glad to see you. Thank you for joining us as well. David Spielvogel, Alan Krentz, again, Spacula. We still have FCAP, which is a regional bank, on our watch list. Again, we have a bonus due diligence video not yet released, so you can access that due diligence video via the link in our notes. We've talked about this. We've had FCAP on the watch list for a while. It's rather illiquid, low float, as you'll see. I actually have an order sitting out there, and it just hasn't hit because it's just been chopping around. MP Materials, again, we moved that up from the bullpen a while back. You can see our due diligence video on MP Materials. We'll see where that's sitting right now. OPP, again, we're already long OPP. If you're interested, you might, consider that. Here's the ex-dividend dates. You can see I snipped those out of this article that you can find the link to. So the next ex-dividend date is the 12th. So again, you can see kind of my logic behind getting into it when it bounced off that support levels. I didn't want it to run away and have to chase it, and I did want a sizable chunk. You can see it's paying 10 cents a share. So here they're saying the annualized is 14%. Finviz says 20%. Seagate, you're going to see we moved that Seagate Technologies. We were going to move it back to the bullpen. It's kind of run up right now. I do want to continue to watch Seagate. Again, here's another bonus due diligence video that you can see on Seagate via the link in the Google Documents. I may have released that one. I don't recall offhand. Another major theme that I want to talk about is oil and USOI. So we're going to look at the chart of USOI. We're going to talk about oil. This is really another one that I really want to get into. You can see it's paying a 40% dividend. Ex-dividend date is the 19th. So I have a little bit of time to wait. And just to discuss the thesis right now, USOI is monthly dividend paying ETN on oil. And we've swung this, scalped this, collected dividends on USOI in the past. It's a nice profit generator for us. If oil dips back down to its recent low, which is in the 70s, that would be the ideal position to get into USOI. If not, anywhere around 75, between 75 and 70 for oil should push USOI to a support level. And we'd like to get a nice big chunk of USOI before the ex-dividend date on the 19th. You can see it's paying $138 per share, so it's a very juicy dividend. So again, we want to get a big chunk of USOI, if at all possible, before the next dividend date. Also, yesterday we looked at the VIX. So we've talked about trading volatility in the past. We talked about upcoming volatility catalyst. We've got the CPI data on the 12th, which was probably going to cause some volatility. We've also got the next Fed interest rate decision at the end of the month. That's probably going to cause some volatility. I definitely like to get into long the VIX, long volatility prior to one of those catalysts, but I'd like the VIX to be below 20. The most recent low on the VIX was 1895. Again, I use the VIX to determine entry points on UVXY. Because again, just the nature of this leveraged ETF, it's going to deteriorate just over time. Even though the VIX isn't necessarily going down, UVXY is going to go down. So again, I always use the VIX as the determinant for the entry and exit points on UVXY or its inverse, which is SVXY. So again, I expect a little pop in the VIX on Monday. Usually after a weekend, we get a little bit of a pop in the VIX on Mondays, and then depending on what's going on, it'll probably settle down going into the CPI. There's probably quite a few other people thinking along these same lines and probably wanting to get long volatility going into that potential catalyst. So we'll see. No, it's 2023, Alan Krantz. Alan Krantz was asking if the ex-dividend date on USOI was 2022 or 2023. My typo. It's 2023. They just released those, and those ex-dividend dates are for both. They're for all the Credit Suisse ETNs. So USOI, we also hold decent-sized positions in GLDI, which is gold, and SLBO, which is silver, and they just recently released their next ex-dividend date. So it's the 19th, and this is the dividend that they declared for that next dividend. I hope that helps. Thank you. I appreciate the help, Ellen. Okay. So just another quick reminder is for our watch list, we have an automatically generated web page that gets automatically generated at the end of the day. And our Patreon members have access to that automatically generated web page. If I make any intra-week or even before market changes, I will post them in this channel in our watch list. So you see I made a number of changes before market open on the 4th. We'll talk about these in our bullpen. So any changes I make, that we're not including the automatically generated web page, I'll post out to this channel in our Discord that our Patreons also have access to. So if you'd like, intra-week, even, intraday updates to our watch list by joining our Patreon, you'll get access to that. So let me grab a quick drink, and then we'll look at all these charts for our main watch list in Webull. Yeah, Flippa is saying UVXY has been getting real low. Yes, again, and we'll look at this in the charts, but again, it's going to continue to go down even if the VIX is just chopping around, just slowly retracing. UVXY is going to continue to go down and make new lows. That's again why I use the VIX as the determinant for entry and exit points on UVXY and SVXY. So again, we'll see that in the chart in a second. Just a real quick reminder, if you're not already using Webull, again, Webull's our favorite trading platform. We use it, as you'll see in part 1, for our market analysis, for part of our due diligence, for the vast majority of our trading we do in Webull. And again, one of the benefits is this 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. trading, so you can take advantage of some of these gap up, gap downs early pre-market that other traders really can't take advantage of because they can't trade at 4 a.m. I'm usually up and around prior to 4 a.m. to take advantage of that Webull open. So wave and say hello if you're around. If you're not already using Webull, you can still get 12 free stocks by opening and funding an account. Each are worth $3,000 to $3,000. You get 2 for opening your account, and then another 10 if you put at least $100 in now. Again, they were offering, if you put any amount now, you have to put at least $100. But again, you get stocks worth anywhere from $3,000 to $3,000 just for funding your account. So if you're not already using Webull, again, it's our favorite trading platform. And again, you get the 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. trading hours, and you get a bunch of free stocks. You can always cash them out and go elsewhere if you'd like. So another nice feature of Webull, as you'll see, is you can have multiple watch lists, and we have videos on how to create and manage watch lists. So I have a bunch of different watch lists. Here's my primary watch list. So here's FCAP, which is the regional bank. You can see it's very choppy. It's very illiquid. I do have an order sitting there. I'm just kind of waiting for it to chop down and hit. I've had that sitting there for a while. We'll see if it runs away, and I'll let it go. And again, you can hear we have the bonus due diligence video on what my thesis is, what my thesis behind watching FCAP is. MP Materials, again, you see it kind of has run up recently, so we'd kind of like it to come back down to this area again. We'll see again, similarly, if it runs away, I'm not going to chase it, but anything under 30 is a pretty good price for MP Materials. And again, we have a due diligence video that explains why we like MP Materials. Here's USOI, the ETN on oil. So if I zoom this out, let's see what the yearly looks like. Okay. So you can see back in early December, that's probably when oil went below 70 briefly. And so that's kind of the ideal price target for USOI. This is probably when oil went, it's sitting below 75. Let me see what CL is, where CL is right now. Right now it's at 73.75. So again, as we talked about yesterday, oil's been kind of bouncing between 75, 80, 70, 75. Right now it's been getting resistance from about 75. So if we get that bounce down to 70, that would be the ideal entry. And again, I've got a little bit of time. I've got up till the 19th to get into USOI, but if I have to pay up, it'll probably be worth it. So I'm just waiting to see where the opportune time to get into USOI is going to be. We can see it's come down a bit, so this was probably when oil was bouncing off 80. And again, another nice thing in Webull is, you can see the dividends. These were the last ex-dividend. It's pretty regular, once a month, around the 20th, 18th, 19th, etc. So it's pretty reliable. Okay, somebody, I can't remember if it was Ollie or somebody was just talking about UVXY. So you can see, even though we got a little bit of a peak in the VIX after the New Year's holiday weekend, and it's pretty typical. So we got a little pop in UVXY, and then it's pretty much trailing off. And again, it's making new, at least 52-week lows, probably all-time lows. And it's going to continue to do that, unless we get a real trend, a real pop in the VIX. Here's a big pop rate, that was probably I don't remember where the GDP data was, probably that pop. So again, I want to watch the VIX. When the VIX bottoms below 20 and turns, that would be my entry point into UVXY. Again, I'd like to get in there before CPI and or before the Fed interest rate decision, and scalp volatility again. You need to be a little nimble because it's not going to stay up unless something really severe happens. So you get into UVXY, ride it up. If you're real nimble, you can flip it over and ride SVXY to ride the VIX back down. So again, you can make good money just trading volatility with UVXY, SVXY if you're nimble. I'm not that nimble, but I can swing it. So again, right now our watch list is pretty thin, but it will change as things develop during this week. And again, I will update them, inter-week, our webpage and in our Discord channels if necessary as things develop. So now we'll talk about our bullpen stocks. Our bullpen, if you're new to our community, new to our channel, the concept of the bullpen are stocks that we don't watch real time during the day. I don't run the automation against them. during market hours, but at the end of the day, I go and revisit them. They're ones that look like they might be attractive in the near future. They might be coming down to support, etc. So I'll look at them at the end of each day. If they look attractive, I'll move them up, put them in the game, add them to our real-time watch list. If they break down or run away, I'll just take them off the bullpen. So one we've been watching for a little while is BOSC, BOS Better Online Solutions. We'll look at the chart in a little bit. Israeli technology company. I probably need to do that due diligence video for more information. Another one we recently added to the bullpen is Intel. I was a little surprised that Intel's come down. Looks like it's swinging. It does pay a 5% dividend. The last dividend, it's a quarterly dividend. So the last dividend was on 11/4. They have earnings on the 25th, so be aware of the earnings. That may cause some volatility in Intel, and we'll see if that presents an opportunity. And I may do a due diligence video on Intel and some of their catalysts, some of our experience with Intel, etc. PAL is the long on Palladium ETF. We've been watching this for a while. It's still a little high right now. We'll see if we get a reversal, an opportunity in Palladium. SATS, EchoStar, we've been watching that. We've got a due diligence video on EchoStar. We talked about, the catalyst with the buyout of Maxar. Seagate, again, we moved it down to the bullpen. It's kind of run up a little bit. Again, you can hear our due diligence video on Seagate. And again, that's one that maybe we'll sell cash secure puts against Seagate. We'll see. We're going to take Turning Point Brands out of the bullpen. It's already run up. Again, that was a consumer defensive play that we kind of liked. Because of that consumer defensive sector, that obviously that sector, they rotated back into it. They ran TPB up. I'm not going to chase it at this point. We can wait for a sector rotation again, see if that presents an opportunity again. TRT, again, is another semiconductor, a low float. I believe profitable, low float. Again, probably need a due diligence video on that one of these days. UROI, we've talked about uranium. Talked about that yesterday. We saw they run uranium up, but UROI is one of our best looking plays in uranium. And then ZDGE, we've been watching for a little while, and we'll take a look at that. Again, it's an application software company. Again, I probably need to do due diligence on that one to get a better understanding of that business in general, but it appears to be profitable. See you guys talking about birds, chickens, and turkeys, and Krispy Kreme. I like Krispy Kreme. I like Krispy Kreme donuts. I've never bought their stock. I think they had some problems back a while ago. Okay, so let's look at our bullpen watch list in Webull. So again, just flip over another watch list. So here's BOSC. I'll zoom out a little bit. You see it's kind of hovering above. It's kind of declining, but hovering above my price target where I'd like it, which was this kind of extreme dip. We'll see, maybe it's going to stabilize somewhere in here as well. If it stabilizes and swings back up, that's what I'd be looking for. It's got decent upside to the threes. Here's Intel. You see kind of Intel was dipping and then it bounced back up. I'd kind of like it down here. Again, last dividend was 11.4 quarterly dividend. So, maybe February would be the next dividend. Pays 36 cents, so not real big. And again, it had come down and then it bounced and maybe it's going to just run away. Palladium. Again, it was coming down for a while and then it bounced and now it's a little bit I really would like it down in this 143 area to get the 2-to-1 risk to reward profile that I'd like, because the recent peak is only 220. Here's EchoStar SAT. So again, I'd kind of like it down here. It had come down to this support and then kind of bounced up. So right now it's kind of running up. Seagate kind of the same way. It made a big run up. Again, when they start pumping tech, all the tech stuff, so SAT, Seagate, these are all tech. So when they start pumping tech, the SWK is Stanley Black & Decker. This is one we recently added to when it started coming down. Then I heard Kramer had mentioned it too. Maybe, I don't know if that caused part of the pop as well. You can see Black & Decker pays a small dividend. Their last ex-dividend was $11.30. And again, it bounced up. Now I'd kind of like it cheaper. It had been coming down. Showed up on one of my queries as near support with a good upside. So here's TRT, the low float semiconductor. You see this one's kind of illiquid, choppy as well. So, a little difficult to get in and out. But we can see it's kind of, support at, 405, 406. Looks like it's coming down to that range. If it does, then we'll put it up in our watch list. UROI, that's the uranium play. You see they recently ran uranium back up. It was kind of, trailing down for a little while. And again, that's one they rotate in and out of. So we'll see if they push it down, if they rotate out of energy. Maybe we'll get an opportunity in UROI. Here's ZDGE. Again, this is that application. Again, it had been coming down. I probably missed that opportunity when it came down to this level, and now it looks like maybe it's running up, running away. Maybe we'll take that off soon if it's going to run away, unless maybe we get some volatility, a outflow money out of tech, a push down in tech. Maybe give us an opportunity in that area. So, and again, that's why I put these in the bullpen, just take a look at them at the end of the day, pick off ones that maybe look more attractive as they present themselves. And then whatever queries I run at the end of the day, I'll find new ones, that look like they might set up soon and add those to the bullpen. So Alan's asking about rain in California, a lot of damage, and more issues with insurance. Maybe home builders. In the past, there used to be some hurricane plays with drywall, etc. Maybe construction. Maybe Stanley Black & Decker. Okay, now we'll look at our ETFs and our ETF spreadsheet. Okay, and Walter's asked about Lab U, Lab D. We'll take a look at biotech and those ETFs specifically. I want to give a shout out to Easy Mike. Easy Mike was in the chat yesterday. I haven't seen him yet today, but he's someone I chat with in a number of the Benzinga shows, and he's been helpful in identifying a number of ETFs. And recently he pointed out another one for online retail, which is this ONLN. So we've added that one to our database and to our spreadsheet as another way to potentially play online retail. So again, thank you to Easy Mike for pointing that one out. Again, he's shared a number of other ones we pointed out recently on, like Vietnam, etc. So we'll take a look at all of our ETFs in a second. I know you, Walter asked about biotech, Lab U, Lab D. We'll look at some on our watch list, and if anyone else has another category or topic you want to look at ETFs, we can take a look at that. Just a quick reminder, again, our Patreon members have access to this spreadsheet all the time, so 24/7. So these prices, as you'll see, do get updated. They're not quite real time, but the Google Finance prices get updated with about a 20-minute lag, and then at the end of day, we run some automation that pulls the support and resistance levels and the top and bottom levels out of our database. Guess I will zoom that in a little more. We can scroll just so it's a little more readable. Okay, let me grab a drink a second, then we'll look at various ETF categories. Okay, just a real quick reminder, and I threw the banner up that none of this is financial advice. We're not recommending any type of security or any particular trades. We're not financial advisors, etc. So again, this is for education and hopefully some entertainment purposes only. So Walter was asked about biotech, Lab D, and Lab U. Again, I'm not, they're kind of sitting in between support and resistance right now. I'm not terribly interested in either direction. Again, this is something you can trade on any given day, whichever direction it's going. Sometimes it's going to move with technology, and sometimes it might move with healthcare. So when you get a catalyst where they report good trial results from one of the participant stocks, it might get a run. If they fail a trial, it might dump, etc. You got Bitcoin, BITI, BITO, long, short and long Bitcoin. Again, there's a lot of these pairs that you can day trade. Here's short SARK, long ARK. Again, lots of things you can day trade. We were watching cannabis. I was taking a look at these again, MJ and MSOS. They did pop up a little bit, kind of keeping an eye on them. MJ right now is showing a decent risk reward. Both of these are not bad. We talked about China. So the long on China is yen. The short on China is yang. Again, that's a day trading pair. So on that gap up or gap down, on yen on Friday, that would cause a gap up in yang. So again, another pair you can day trade, if you're nimble, just, whichever direction. And typically, we saw right at, like 4 a.m., we see this gap. In this case, here we had a gap up at 5 a.m. Here we had a gap down at 6 a.m. So. If I zoom in, it might even be 4 a.m. And it's useful to know when these rebalancing, when these ETFs get rebalanced, recalculated. And again, you can see that one's at 4 a.m. So it's going to gap up or gap down right at 4 a.m. So if you watch the global markets, is what I do, is I look at the global markets screen in Webull, and I have a video that says, it's titled 4 a.m. Do you know where your stocks are? And this is part of what I would watch for China, is if you see the HSI, the Hang Seng is down. It's not, a foolproof indicator, but that is another data point that says, okay, well, maybe the China stocks are going to be down, and therefore maybe I want to play yang instead of yen. So again, it's part of my 4 a.m. routine. Again, you can see more about that in that 4 a.m. Do you know where your stocks are video. Coal, I've got a couple coal plays. We've seen sector rotation in and out of coal. Again, we have all the ETFs to play the various indices, long or short. So the Dow, if you want to play the Dow long, UDow short, SDow, bunch of energy. We talked about coal. We talked about natural gas and oil. So there are a number of other ETFs. You can play oil long with gush, short with drip. Again, those, if you're nimble, those great day trade opportunities, whichever way it tends to go. Welcome, Nugam. Thank you for joining us. People had been asking about lumber. See, it's pretty high off support still. ETF for lumber's wood. There's another one called cut we looked at and saw the risk reward profile was not as attractive. So again, NASDAQ, you can long with TQQQ, short with SQQQ. Again, if they're running tech, or shorting tech heavily, there's day trade opportunities there. And then here's boil and cold, the long and short on natural gas. Again, natural gas has been declining pretty heavily, so cold's been running up, boil down. Again, you can day trade if you're nimble, those quite profitably. And drip and gush we talked about. So here's the one Easy Mike that we added, ONLN. See, I support at 26. It does offer a pretty decent risk reward. We also have this clicks, which is long online retail, short brick and mortar retail, so we can pick whichever one of those is most attractive at the time. Again, short and long the Russell, short and long the S&P. Talked about silver. Silver's not quite at the top yet, but when it does, we'll probably, sell out of our SLVO position and maybe look at shorting silver. But you can short and long silver. It tends to run a couple percent too on any given day, so that's another day trade opportunity. Solar, again, I only have solar long, so I don't know a way to short silver or solar. Been looking at the sugar one. This sugar one's getting close to a support level. And so I might we're keeping an eye on that one right now. And uranium, dollar. And here's the Vietnam ones. Again, I believe Easy Mike told me about BNM. And I think I found this VNAM, kind of keeping an eye on that. Okay, does anyone else have any other topics in the chat or categories you want to look at? ETFs, I can look at those, or we can jump into strategies. So I see you guys are talking about XBI. There's XBI, and I have to remember, I think it's IBB. Is IBB the other index for biotech? Again, I tend to look at LabU and LabD as better leverage, but yeah, the underlying indices are, I believe, XBI and IBB. JEPI, yeah, JEPI is a nice dividend paying. I don't think I have JEPI in there. That may be one I need to look at and add as another index. I know that's now becoming popular. And I think there's another one, JEPQ or something. Again, I don't think I have them in here right now. Now, I think I'll take a look at those and see if we can get those added as well. Okay. let's quickly talk. We'll talk about the shopping list. The concept of the shopping list is, stocks you always wanted to buy, just waiting for a good opportunity when they become, attractive, cheap, etc. So we always recommend you keep your shopping list ready. If we get a major decline in the markets and something becomes ridiculously cheap, or it overreacts negatively to earnings and gives you the opportunity to buy things, it's good to have that shopping list, but you want to make sure that that list of stocks is, going to be resilient to increasing interest rates, high inflation. We still have high inflation. It's going to be recession proof, whether we're in a recession, going into a recession. You want to make sure your shopping list stocks are recession proof. So a couple things also with your shopping list stocks. Again, make sure that if you did some tax loss harvesting on any of your shopping list stocks at the end of last year and you want to buy them back, make sure you don't violate the wash sale rule and invalidate your tax loss harvesting. Again, we have a video that explains what the wash sale rule is, what the rules are to avoid losing your tax loss harvesting from last year. We also have a video recently released that tell you, what is the January effect? What can you expect in January? And you can see those. Again, I'll reiterate, we don't want to see anyone get hurt from the FTX bankruptcy fallout. You hear there's still ripple effects, and there will continue to be ripple effects. You hear Silvergate, a bank, is now getting hammered recently, and there's probably, again, others along the way. Yeah, JEPQ and JEPI. Let me put those down and give you credit. I'll take a look at those, Alan, and we'll probably, as long as they look attractive in some way, we'll add them to our ETF spreadsheet so we can track those and maybe even do a due diligence on their comparing them to other similar ETFs. Okay, so we talked about, you want to avoid zombies, so companies that, can't service their debt, and we're in increasing interest rate environment, so they're going to have a harder time. So we recently released both of these explaining what zombie companies and zombie ETFs are. Again, inflation proofing, recession proofing, and increasing interest rates. Again, by the end of the month, we're going to have higher interest rates again. Whether it's 25 basis points, 50 or 75 higher, is going to be higher, right? And thank you for your help, Alan. I appreciate it. Okay, so other trade ideas. I started talking yesterday that we're rethinking our options trading strategies, mostly due to the potentially low probability that in the money options are exercised early. This has been our recent experience. I talked about the long dated covered call I have in yen, which could have been exercised and was not. So I'm kind of stuck with it. I can't put a stop in. I can't sell it because it's supporting that covered call. So again, we're rethinking those long dated options. Also, I have cash secured puts. I sold one on Tesla and Disney recently, and they were both, the Tesla one was deep in the money, and it still is. And that person, the buyer of that cash secured put, hasn't exercised it. So, that money is tied up. And maybe that wasn't, maybe that's not the strategy we want to utilize going forward. So, again, I'm rethinking this. I'll provide updates as we learn. Also, we'd love to hear your experience with, how often have you seen options that are in the money get assigned, and what were the variables involved in that? Again, I've got a discussion in our options channel in our Discord, And again, our Discord is free to join. So other than the channels that are exclusive to our Patreon members, the vast majority of the channels are open to everyone. And again, it's free to join our Discord. There's an invite in the description box below, and I will point that out in our banner as well. So again, I'd love to hear your experience with, how often have you gotten options assigned early that were in the money? I did ask, as you'll see, I tried to ask ChatGPT, and so I'll show you that discussion. It was not very satisfying, but I asked several questions about, what's the probability that an in the money cash secured put will be exercised early, and then will be exercised early by the buyer. Essentially, I won't read these right now. Essentially, it gave a consultant's typical consultant's answers. It depends. So it really just didn't give me a very satisfactory. It said, it depends on multiple factors, blah blah blah. So I was hoping I could get a more definitive answer out of ChatGPT. So I tried it, even with call options, it's not possible to determine, blah. It depends. So again, it gave me a typical consultant's answer. So again, I won't bore you reading all that because that's pretty much what it responded is it can't tell me, it depends. So I'd love to hear your actual experience with, do they get assigned early, or and if so, what's been your experience? As again, this is an input into our rethinking of our option strategies. We like the concept of selling cash secured puts as another way to generate additional revenue on things that are going down. The con to that is it ties up the cash. So again, if they're not going to exercise it, then that cash is tied up until that option expires, and they either exercise it at expiration or not. So, and welcome Johnny Trades. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your input. So again, I'm using primarily cash secured puts because these are mostly retirement accounts. I think it's better than just sitting on the cash. I'll talk about another strategy for utilizing idle cash. Also, I have this added the link to this option seller ROI tool on our homepage. I think I also posted this in our Discord, and I'm investigating using this as a potential way to find options that are more attractive to sell due to their premium versus my previous strategy was buying things that I didn't mind owning the stock anyway. But if they're not going to sell me the stock, then that kind of defeats that purpose. And if I would have bought the stock at the price like Disney, probably not Tesla, but Disney under 90, under 85, I probably would have bought the Disney stock rather than sitting on the Disney cash secured put. So again, we're rethinking the things that we want to sell cash secured puts on, and it'd be more something that I wouldn't be upset if I got assigned, but if the probability of getting assignment is going to be low, then we're looking at more of the return on capital for selling those cash secured puts. So, okay. So again, I'm trying to figure out, pricing, return on capital, how to prioritize. Again, part of this is using this seller ROI tool, so you can explore that as well. And again, I think these, selling and buying back covered calls and cash secured puts is a good trading strategy to make money trading in the choppy market. So, if the market's just chopping up and down, this presents good opportunities to generate essentially your own dividends. Is just sell covered calls when it's going up, buy them back when it's coming down. Sell cash secured puts when it's going down, buy them back when it's going up. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Now the question is what to do that against. So, and how to select the strike price, how to select the options price is what I'm figuring out. And again, I'll share all that with you as I learn more about it. We do have a couple videos on, my experience thus far. So the first one's been released. The second one you can access via this bonus video link. We'll eventually release that one. Also, a previous one I done is explaining how selling covered calls can be a double-edged sword. Again, we're seeing that in our yen position. And again, we have other videos in our options playlist that you can see of how to execute, some of these option strategies. So let me grab a drink a second, and then we'll talk also about dividend stocks as another strategy going forward of how to deal with the choppy market, deal with idle cash, make money trading. So just a sec. Okay, again, another strategy you can kind of see in our trades, our watch lists, etc., is if you're sitting on idle cash, waiting for the markets to turn, waiting for opportunities to present themselves. Another way to make money with that cash, better than having it just sit there, is with dividend-paying stocks. And again, we talked about several that we were looking at buying, several we own. GLDI, SLVO, these are actually ETNs. Many ETFs pay a dividend, some do not, so it's worth knowing, which ones pay, which ones don't, what percentage, because you're going to want something that's higher than inflation. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Same way with a stock. If it pays a dividend, you want it to be, better than a treasury. So treasuries are sitting around 4%, so it should be paying better than 4%. Otherwise, treasuries and bonds are going to be less risk than the dividend-paying stock. So these guys, pay in the 10 to 20% yield range. So again, that's why we like them. We own, again, large chunks of GLDI, SLVO. We're looking to buy a chunk of USOI. We also like REITs. I like Realty Income. We currently own STAG. We've owned swung LTC before, and we swing all of these things. So we take the dividends and we get the price appreciation. Then we'll, when it turns down, we'll sell it, take the price appreciation, buy them back cheaper, collect dividends, and rinse and repeat. Also, it's important to know the ex-dividend dates. Again, these stocks on the ex-dividend date, if you buy it on the ex-dividend date or after for that period, you don't get the dividend, so the price tends to drop, gap down, equal to the dividend paid. So with your stops, be aware when the ex-dividend dates on these are. And again, if you try to get in, you have to get in before the ex-dividend date. I have a video on how you can set price alerts in Thinkorswim on the ex-dividend date, so you can see that. I'm also working on adding the ex-dividend dates to our automatically generated watch list web pages, so that, again, those are Patreon members that have access to those web pages will also have the next ex-dividend date for dividend-paying stocks that are on our watch list. So, and again, that's another way to help you know when those dates are approaching. So if you want to get in before and get the next dividend, you know when that date is upcoming. So I hope that helps. So does anyone else have any other questions that I can quickly answer? If not, you can always ask questions in the comments below this video or any of our videos in our free Discord. Again, our Discord is free to join. You can find the invite in the description box below. Also on our homepage. You can also contact us via our social media. We have a Facebook group. All the links to our social media are on the links section and on our homepage, beachbumtrading.com, bum without the U. We also have links to all those tools, etc. So you can find that Option Seller ROI, FinBiz, all the trading platforms we use, Weebly Trade, etc., additional resources, etc. So again, I keep all the links that I frequently used under the links category on our homepage. So yeah, let us know, ask questions in any of those forums, and we will try to address them as quickly as we are able. And otherwise, we hope you have a great trading week. Again, let us know how else we can help you make money in this current market environment or any market environment. How can we help you succeed in your trading career? We hope you will share this information and help us grow our BeachBum trading community for the benefit of all of our fellow BeachBum traders. So again, have a great trading week and good luck. And have a great rest of your weekend and a great trading week. Thank you for joining us. Bye.